Hey, so welcome. I got a question today from Chris Robinson. Let me show you actually. Let me flip it around. Here's Chris's question. He said, hey, read your post about the abundance video, blah, blah, blah. He said, my question at the moment is, how do you find a mentor? Someone that you could ask questions about being an entrepreneur and learn from. So let me answer that. There are 3 ways to find a mentor. And before I tell you what those 3 things are, if you're listening, let me know in the comments if you have a mentor or if you've ever had a mentor and what you did to find your mentor. But let me tell you the 3 ways that are pretty easy to find a mentor. Number 1, first you got to identify who you want as a mentor. This is actually harder than it may appear, because at first we may look at somebody and say, oh, you know what, they're a good mentor, or they're somebody who's successful, that's who I want. But there are actually a few things that I would encourage you to think about. Number 1, you want to identify who you want to learn from, specifically like who is where you want to be in your career, and who is doing the types of things that you want to do. Because sometimes there's somebody who may appear to be a good mentor, but behind the scenes they may not be doing the things that you really want to. So for example, like when I first started out, like I thought in my career, I thought I wanted to go into sports marketing. I thought, like I could combine the 2 things that I love the most, which is sports and marketing, and I would just go into sports marketing. So I worked for a sports marketing company one summer and quickly found out that that was not something that I wanted to do. So, on the surface, on the front end, it looked like a lot of fun, but when you actually got into it, it wasn't all that it was made out to be for me. So I quickly got out of there. So number 1, you want to identify who, but you also want to identify like what are the types of things that they're doing that you really love and want to do. So number 1, identify who you want to work from, who you want to learn from, and where they are in their career, and specifically the types of things that they're doing on a regular basis. So that's really important. And this is the most important thing when you're looking for a mentor, when you're trying to identify who, is you want to identify values alignment. There are a lot of great people who are doing incredible things, but it makes it very difficult to learn from somebody if their values don't align with your values. So that's my number 1 tip when it comes to first identifying who you want to mentor from, is making sure that there is not only where you want to be as far as your career, but there's values alignment. Very important. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the second thing. So again, before this is for everybody just joining. This came from a question. Let me flip this around. Chris Robinson asked me today. He said, my question at the moment is, how do you find a mentor? We're talking about today, and it's actually a lot easier than I think people realize. So there's 3 steps to it. First step is that you want to identify who you want to be your mentor, and some of the things that I recommended is look at where people are in their career, look at the types of things that they're doing behind the scenes, and the third thing is make sure that there's values alignment. Okay, so that's identifying who. The second thing is you want to find out how you could be of service. Now, people often think that you've got to have a relationship with somebody first before you can approach them to be a mentor and all this kind of stuff. That's not true. Listen, successful people, the number 1 thing that they do not have is time. And if you realize that, then you can be of value. So early in my career, I worked for a number of people who I wanted to mentor under, and I worked for free because I was young. I had an abundance of time. That's what I had lots of. Successful people, they have more money than they have time. When you're just starting out, you have more time than you have money. So exchanging your time for the opportunity to learn is a huge advantage you have if you're looking for a mentor. So one of the things I did was I identified who I wanted to mentor under, and then I looked to find ways that I could be of value. And I was looking for what is stressing this person out, or where could I be of the most value, and most importantly, where could I save them a ton of time. And so this is actually really easy, because all you got to do is you got to be specific in how you can help. I have a lot of people who approach me who want to learn from me and all that kind of stuff, and they say, like, if you ever need any help, just let me know. It doesn't work like that. The easiest and most effective way to get the attention of a mentor is to give them something very specific that you are willing to do for free, just for the opportunity to learn. So here's an example. Like, if somebody were, one of the things that I did was, early in the day, this is probably like over 13, 14 years ago. One of the things that I did was I approached a mentor of mine, and I gave him a variety of very specific things that I was willing to help and do on his behalf, absolutely free, in exchange for the opportunity to learn. And these were things like, they were more mundane things that were taking up time of his that I knew he probably didn't want to do, but I was willing to do it because I was looking for the opportunity to learn. Another example of some specific things, like when I was starting my speaking career, one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to learn from a specific mentor. And I said to him, I created this whole campaign. I had some fun with it. And I created this campaign called Help Stu Be Like You. And it was like really cheesy, but it got his attention. And one of the things that I mentioned in there was like, listen, I said to him, I have more time than I have money. And I know you have more money than you have time. And I'm willing to exchange my time for free just for the opportunity to learn. And one of the things that I said was, I'm willing to lick envelopes. I'm willing to send out letters. I'm willing to, in his case, I was willing to speak to event planners. I was willing to coordinate different things. I was willing to write emails for him. I was very specific. I gave him a list of a whole bunch of things that I was willing to do. But if you want to get the attention of a mentor, the most effective thing you can do is find something very specific you can help them with. The more specific you are, the higher your chances are going to be that they are going to be open to your message. So for example, today, Chris Robinson, he asked me this question about, like, how do you find a mentor? And literally, like, in an email earlier today, I had somebody who approached me who, wants to learn from me. But they gave a broad thing. They said, if you ever need help, let me know. That's not good. It's not good when you give broad generalizations. If you want to help somebody, give them something specific. So, the first way to get to find a mentor is to identify who. And we talked about a variety of things there, right? Like, so you want to identify who is where you want to be, who's doing the types of things you want to do, and who has values that you align with. That's the first and most important thing. Second thing that you do is you find out how you can be of value to that potential mentor, and find something specific. Find something specific that you can suggest that you'd be willing to do absolutely free. Trade your time for their knowledge. It's worth it. And I would start with something very small. Sometimes people offer these big things, and it's too stressful for the mentor to even think about. It's too stressful for them to even open that door for you, if you will. Start with something very, very small. And if you start with something small, your probabilities are going to go up. So that's the second thing. So find some way to be of value. And the third and final step, if you want to find a mentor, is leverage every opportunity that's given to you. If you find something specific and small, like we talked about in the previous step, that door of opportunity is going to be open for you. What I would encourage you to do is then over-deliver on that small thing that you're offering to do, and seek other opportunities to help out. Again, somebody who's successful, who's going to be in a position to mentor you, they're strapped for time. So the more time you could save them, the more things you could take off of their shoulders, the more stress you can relieve, the more they're going to begin to earn, the more you're going to earn trust, and the more they're going to send your way. And before you know it, one door is going to swing open, and the next door is going to swing open, and then it's going to just continue to build that relationship, and you're going to have an ongoing relationship with that mentor. So it doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly. And you first start with something very specific and small, and then the third step is to leverage that opportunity. Over deliver, and then suggest other things or other areas where you can help out. So those are my 3 steps to finding a mentor. Number 1, identify who you want to be a mentor. Make sure that they are someone who is where you want to be, doing the types of things you want to do, and that there's values alignment. Number 2, when you found that person, find a way to be of value, and don't suggest something broad and general. What I recommend is start with something specific and small, and look for ways that you can relieve stress and save that mentor time. If you start with specifics, your doors are going to be open for you. And then that leads us to the third thing, which is once that door is opened, over deliver. So not only complete whatever task that you suggested that you would be willing to do for free, but then seek out other opportunities or other areas where you can be of value. So look for ways that you can relieve stress, look for ways that you can save that person time, but just constantly be of value, because busy people, successful people, the number one thing that they lack is time. And so that's where you can come in. So hopefully that helps, those 3 steps. I would love to hear from you. What, do you have a mentor now? Are you a mentor to somebody else? And or what tips or tricks would you have for somebody who is looking for a mentor? I know for me, I'm always looking for people to learn from. One of my great friends and mentors was Michael Hyatt, and he still is. And one of the things that I did there was I looked for an opportunity to actually become a business partner with him. So, nowadays I look for opportunities where I can bring immense value to them and in exchange learn. And so one of the things I was looking to learn from was somebody who I had a values alignment with, which was Michael. He's just an incredible man. And then I was looking for somebody who had experience leading large teams, because one of the things that I'm looking to do is to grow in my leadership and to learn to lead bigger teams. And so he was somebody who was a CEO of a huge publishing company, and he was looking to grow his organization. So this was 3.5 years ago we formed that partnership and relationship. And my primary driver for doing so was because I wanted to have the opportunity to learn from him day in and day out. And it's different. We can learn from people by the content they produce, but it's a totally different feeling and experience when you're seeing and interacting and working with somebody on a regular basis, because you see the way they make decisions. And that is the most important thing I think any of us can learn when it comes to learning from a mentor is how does somebody think, how do they make decisions, how do they react, and how do they interact with people. Those are some of the key components that I think are amazing takeaways from mentors. So that's why you want to get into a position where you're interacting with them on a regular basis. And the tips that I gave you here today is how I've done it. I've found a mentor when I was in my early career, in my early 20s, found another one in my late 20s, and found another one in my mid 30s. And all have served me tremendously well. I've learned so much from them and took huge leaps in my career as a result. So hopefully that helps. I would love to hear from you. And but that's a wrap for today. We're going to wrap it up and finish it up. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.